In November of 1997, police in Bradenton, Florida received a frantic phone call from a man who said that he had found a strange object lying on the shore of the Manatee River.
There's no information at this time on the suspect.
What the police found when they arrived was an almost perfect human hand cut off at the wrist.
As I'm standing there looking at this hand, the first thing that comes to my mind is that somebody got their hand caught in the cookie jar and they paid the price. The hand appeared to be that of a male, and it was well preserved. I could see that it was a clean cut. I knew that there must be a body that goes with this hand somewhere.
Hoping to find the rest of the body, police carefully searched the Manatee River.
This body of water is populated by both sharks and alligators. There's a lot of things out there that will eat a body up if it stays in that river long enough.
While the Marine unit continued their search, detectives took the hand to the fingerprint division of the Manatee County Sheriff's Department.
When the hand was brought to the crime lab, it was so waterlogged that the fingerprint technicians couldn't raise a usable fingerprint. What happens as the body decomposes, the outer layer of skin separates from the inner layer. The inner layer can get very waterlogged, but the outer layer stays thin and keeps its ridging. So what they did is they cut off some of the digits and were able to remove the outer layer of skin intact. They then put the outer layer of skin on their own fingers, were then able to roll that finger, and they were able to get one very usable fingerprint.
In order to find out who the hand belonged to, the fingerprint was run through the automated fingerprint identification system, which contained over 150,000 prints of people who had been arrested in the Florida area. Incredibly, the system took only minutes to find a matching print. It belonged to a 70-year-old man named Willie Suttle, a man who had a minor police record.
He had passed away of natural causes a year prior to the identification. I just couldn't understand where this hand had been for the 6 months that this man had been dead and buried.
To see if Willie Suttle's body had actually been dismembered, detectives went to the New Memphis Cemetery, a burial ground for the poor and homeless. There, in a shallow grave, they found an old, rotting wooden box. Inside of the box, a body bag containing the remains of Willie Suttle.
Everything was contained in that bag. Just body fluids and just decomposition. The organs that are normally contained in a small biohazard bag were at the man's feet.
The first thing authorities noticed was that Suttle's left wrist was wrapped in duct tape, and his hand was missing. But the biggest surprise came when they x-rayed the body.
The medical examiners and the police were startled to find little metal pins that were inside the body. When they opened up the original autopsy incision, many small dolls had been placed into the body, and on the back of each doll was a note held to the back by a metal pin.
Some of the handwriting on the notes was still legible, and it was clear that someone had placed a curse on several people who lived in the local area, condemning them to rot just like the dolls inside of Willie Suttle's body. Detectives now realized they were looking for a person who apparently believed in black magic.
The detectives knew that when the body left the medical examiner's office, both hands were still attached. At the grave site, there was no evidence that anybody had ever dug up or disturbed Willie Settle's body. Therefore, whatever was done to put those dolls in the body was at the funeral parlor.
Mrs. Paula Alberton, the owner of the Green Funeral Home, was brought down to the police department to be interviewed by detectives.
When Mrs. Albritton was confronted with the fact that her name is on these notes attached to these dolls inside Mr. Settle, she had no excuse.
That's a little bit more comfortable for you.
During her interview with the police, Mrs. Alberton told them that she was a practitioner of voodoo.
I am a voodooist, and I've survived because I know how to survive. And that's a part of my religion.
She said she used it to defend herself because her business was going bad, and she wanted to get rid of her competitors.
Paula Albritton explained that the reason she put these dolls inside the body was that as the dolls rotted, her competitors would also rot and lose their businesses. As far as the hand goes, she said it was her helping hand that would help her in this venture. As it turned out, the only people it helped